thing about this is that sign language accesses other parts of the brain, in addition to what you often have with your spoken language. I mean, you have your language centers of the brain, but you also have, it's a visual language. So if you are using sign language and you are speaking to that child at the same time, if you have a hearing child and you are, saying a word milk and you're signing the word milk and you're doing that, the child is getting visual input, they're getting auditory input, and then as they start doing it, they're also getting the kinesthetic input. So it is a wonderful tool for all of your different types of learners. And you're able to, once you learn what kind of learner your child is, you can end up using it as an additional tool to help in that regard.
Yes. Yeah. I can speak to that too, I didn't share this with you, but I have dyslexia. And so education was hard for me. Learning how to read was difficult for me. I struggled in school, and it wasn't until I sat in my very first ASL class where all the light bulbs went off. I remember sitting in the class saying, my teacher didn't speak. She didn't use her voice at all. It was ASL 1. But I could follow her conversation. I was able to understand and decode what she was doing because it was visual. And it was, I remember saying I felt like I was looking at a pop-up book is how I kind of expressed it. And so for me, being a visual learner, it gave me confidence. It opened up a learning gate for me. And I said, I could not believe how much I was understanding just by seeing language that way. Right. So for those struggling learners, ASL is tremendous. I see it in my own daughter who also has dyslexia. And even for anyone, even if you don't have dyslexia, just to have that extra input, it's really profound.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Well, learning is so much about making connections. Children will learn, if you're able to connect something to something they already know,
yes,
then they are going to learn it so much better. And the more senses that you are activating, the more connections that you are making in that child's mind. And so just like you're talking about being visual, when you're doing true American Sign Language, beyond just the words, you can actually show things as a visual picture in the air.
Yes.
And so like you can show, if you're talking about how plants are growing and things like that, you can actually show the growth of the plant and how it ends up becoming a tree. And you're able to use that three-dimensional space as you're explaining it to a child. And sometimes make it just that much more rich than just talking about it to a child.
Because so many signs are interpretations of an actual something that the thing does. And I think when we use a word, we don't get that picture with it. And so it's really hard for a child to understand the concept of the word. But I can see how that would bridge that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better.